limitation to choose sole proprietorship. Remember, sole. That's a big problem. If you have to run your business with somebody else, then you cannot use sole proprietorship. Okay? The business model is good, no problem, almost guaranteed, and you have anything to run it. However, in order to run this business, you need to work together with somebody else. Knowledge, funding, facility, I don't know. For any other reason why, you must run this business with anybody else. Then you cannot use sole proprietorship, because sole is mean one person. If you have to run your business more than one person, then forget about sole proprietorship. Then we move to partnership. Okay? So of course you can form the partnership as a voluntary basis, but sometimes you don't have to choose. Okay, you don't have choice. You have to do certain type of business with somebody else for any other reason. Alright?
So you can do it as like husband and wife.
Okay, that's a big issue. At the IRS level, even the husband and wife run the business, you will become the partnership. However, there are 9 states. Including California, because you can imagine, for those areas, they were under Spanish, Mexico, okay, different legal systems. So say for example in California, we are so-called community property states. So IRS declare, say, for those 9 states residents, husband and wife can run the business as a single unit. But in any other state, okay, 41 states, including the Washington D.C. residents, husband and wife must treat it as a partnership. That's inconvenient. But anyway, okay, as I say, if you run your business with anybody else, you cannot use sole proprietorship. You have to use any other. So let's start from partnership, okay? So partnership means you have more than one person. Okay. And you have so many choices. I did not put it on here. Okay. The very basic partnership is general partnership. That really means multiple of sole proprietorship together. You just treat this as a multiple sole proprietorship. Each person could form their business as a sole proprietorship, but for some reason they just want to work together. By that I mean each person will be liable for everything. Say for example, each person contribute $10,000 cash into this pot, okay, to run their business. For some reason, the partnership business recognized loss. They are liable. Then each person liable for everything, not just 1/3. Not just 1/3. Because each general partner will be held unlimited liability for the partnership. So this is a general partnership, okay? I don't see any reason to do that. I don't know why. I don't see any reason for people to run general partnership. Step down, next one, is called limit partnership, LP, limit partnership. Each state has different regulation, but generally speaking, okay, Limited partnership mean there is at least one general partner. You must at least one. You can have a multiple general partner, okay? And the other partner become limited liability. That's called limited partnership. It's not common, as I say. I don't see any reason why for people to run a general partnership. As well, I don't see any too much reason for people to run the business as a limited partner, because who is the person who want to run as a general partner, right? But there is the combination. I will tell you later on. Okay, I seen this before. Okay. So my questions for you is, I will give you the answer, but right now my questions posed to you right now is, who is the person who would like to become the general partner within the limited partnership? Within the limited partnership, everybody want to become a limited partnership, right? However, by law, you must at least one person, more than one, or at least one person must stay as a general partner. So my questions to you is, who is the person who would like to become the general partner within the limited partnership? Okay, another step down. The third one is called limited liability partnership, LLP. Limited liability partnership. Each single partner, they are all limited liability. That really means whatsoever the assets or money they contribute to the partnership, that's all. Once the money is gone, it's gone. Okay, so the limited liability partnership may dissolve finally. But upon that point, if there is no any assets left, then that's it. Each limited liability partner just wash your hand, walk away. That's it. It's called LLP. However, make it more complicated. Each state has different regulation about LLP. In California, for some reason which I don't understand, in California, only the law firm, architect, doctor, they can form LLP. For the regular business, you cannot form LLP. Only for the professional, certain type of professional, you can form LLP. But this is not true in any other state. Okay, I can only tell you what happened in California. So that's why LLP, if you see it, usually is follow in to the personal name, certain name, and then comma LLP, and you know this is a professional partnership. More commonly in law firm. So as I say, you don't see general partnership, does not make too much sense. You don't see too many LP because who is want to become the general partner? And you only see the profession company or profession business, certain type of profession for LLP. So finally, you will see a lot of LLC, a lot. Limited liability company, and this type of organization is recognized by law since the 1970s. And right now it's become more and more popular. I would say probably even more popular than corporation maybe. Okay. So what's the major difference here? LLC very, very similar to LLP. That really means each shareholder, they just contribute certain amount of money, and that becomes their total liability for the business. So there's no any general partner there. Each partner only liable for whatsoever the money or assets they contribute to the business. Once the business is gone, again, wash your hand, walk away. This is it. And LLC can run almost any kind of business. Almost. Not 100%, but almost any kind of business. More popular right now, today, more popular for LLC is to do the investment. Not limited to, okay, but more commonly. So for example, in my business, okay, I help a lot of my client. They set out LLC. They don't do any business transaction, only to hold the real property title. That's it. They formed LLC, do nothing but just holding the real estate title. And let me tell you why. Because the major reason for my client at least to form the LLC and then holding title, because they want to separate the personal liability from the business. Say, let me give you one example. Okay, the other week, recently, I don't know why. Okay, no any special reason. I took a few automobile accident case. No. Family member hit somebody else, and not really major problem, but automobile by itself is totally lost. Totally lost. And of course, each party probably has a little bit, or I don't know how serious it is, bodily injury. Okay, bodily injury. And the medical bill, I don't know, couple $1,000, $100,000, I don't know, because medical bill is very expensive. You can see in the United States, and the amount, okay, the damage on the automobile plus the cost on the medical bill usually exceed the insurance coverage. No surprise, because in California, I believe the bodily injuries is not only like 30,000 or 50,000. It's very low. Okay. For the automobile, probably it's only 30,000 for the car value. For the bodily injury, probably it's only like 50. And for any automobile accident, okay, if you carry on the speed like 20 miles, okay, that kind of impact gonna create the damage more than that for sure. Not talking about 50, 60, 70, even 20 miles per hour, that kind of impact damage would exceed any standard insurance coverage. So there's one family came to see me. I have another one next week. Different family, okay. They come to see me, okay. And then I say, okay, usually for the automobile insurance coverage, okay, it take about 6 months to settle. And sometimes you cannot settle, because usually the injured party, they will hire the lawyer and they ask big amount. You cannot imagine how big it is. I said, for this kind of battle, we have two ways to go. We have two areas, we have two battlefield to, we need to prepare. One is the battle in the insurance coverage. And the other one is, I say, how much assets you have. Even before they answer to me, I say, is there around between 2 to 3 or even $5 million? Because in Silicon Valley, for the working family, okay, if they don't even run the business, just for the regular engineering family, and if usually the accident usually caused by children, okay, college student usually, okay, that's very common. And by the age, if the kids already go to college, and parents almost reached age right before they retire. And I can say very typical in this area, probably the net assets could be around $2 million. I'm just talking about the working class. They don't run any big business. They just accumulate their wealth from their stock option, from the salary, from the capital gain accumulated from the real estate. I say easily, I say your assets, I just guessed, probably around 2 to 3 minutes, and they say yes. Not big chunk, not really rich, but 2 to 3 minutes is the target, is a target of certain type of a lawyer. They know, they filed a lawsuit against you, and you happen to have such assets under your name. Of course, you will be very motivated to settle because you freak out already. For the regular people, when they see the summon from the court, they pass out already. Okay? They say, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do if these people come in to seize my property and to take away all of my banking account? What am I gonna do? They pass out already. Okay? So I say, well, you need to think about this. Even the thing may not be that serious, but you should consider to diversify your assets. Diversify. That really means you should seriously consider to transfer your personal property to LLC. Because legally speaking, not 100% guaranteed, but legally speaking, once you transfer your property to LLC, that property is not your personal property anymore. The beauty of that is you still keep 100% control, right? Because you are the owner of the LLC. However, the other side, this is not your personal property. So if any company, they do any investigation to check your wealth, your assets under your name, under your social security, they could not find anything. They could not find anything. I would say for any people or any family, if your assets is between like 2 to 5, you should consider set up your family LLC and transfer your assets, especially your real estate property under the LLC. Okay, not 100% guaranteed, but it's better off you keep your valuable assets under your personal name. All right, so that's kind of the philosophy. So as I say, LLC is very, very common business organization today, okay, in this area. And of course, you can run business under the LLC, but more commonly for people just holding the title under the LLC. And talk about the cost, okay? Not too expensive. For setting up, one-time fee probably around 3,000 to 4,000. There's a one-time fee, all right? And then to maintain it, you need to file the tax return. For the federal level, if this is a husband and wife LLC, no anybody else, just husband and wife, for the federal level, you don't have to file federal tax return. You file whatsoever under your 1040. Think about this. If your LLC do nothing but only holding the title, at the most your income is from the rental. And sometimes you have nothing because you're just holding title, right? So if your income is that simple, the IRS will say don't bother it. You don't file tax return. For the federal level, if you file LLC, you file the same tax form as any other partnership. That is 1065. 1065. But even don't bother it if there is no any other partner other than husband wife. And also you can have only one member LLC if you really want to. There is no one member partnership, okay? But you, in order to protect your personal liability, you don't want to run your business as a sole proprietorship, it's always good thing to form your one-person LLC to run your business. Because for the one member, one-person LLC, you don't have to file federal 1065. So you save one level already.
I'm a little confused.
Go ahead.
You need to be more than one for a partnership LLC or not?
No. No. For the partnership, you need one more than one. Understand? For any type of partnership, general partnership, LP, LLP, for those three type partnership, you need more than one person to form. Got it?
But not for an LLC.
Not for LLC. That's exception. So that is why LLC becomes so popular, because you can separate and protect your personal liability under LLC. So you can have one person LLC, you can have a husband and wife LLC. For those two type LLC, oh by the way, you must live in the community property state to save federal 1065. If you live in New York and husband and wife, you still need to file 1065. It's kind of complicated, but just give you the idea. Alright? So for the case my client came to see me, I say seriously consider to form LLC and transfer your property before any lawsuit coming up. Okay, transfer it. And then after you spend this money, one-time fee, every year for the state government, for California state, you pay $800 franchise tax. Then that's not too much. $800 to the state. And if you can do your tax return, you do it. If you cannot do it, file the professional do it, $500 probably. So you maintain your family LLC. Say for example, you try to protect your 2 to 5 million assets, and you spend only $1,000 per year. Worth it, right? It's good way to do it. Another thing, give you the idea, give you inspiration. Okay. More and more foreigners, especially from China, they are thinking to do the immigration. United States is always the top list for those people they want to immigrate. And if they cannot find any relative qualified, to qualify immigration, the best way is from a family member. And if you marry to the spouse, U.S. citizen spouse, of course, automatically you become a green card holder. And if your parents are U.S. citizen, of course, under a certain limit, you become. Okay? But other than that, it's very difficult to apply for the immigration under the family member category. So when we talk about LLC, your business model, think about this, keep this in your mind. You form your LLC to do the investment, and you may be qualified under the certain requirement, criteria. You can invite the foreigner become your member. Oh, by the way, when we say LLC, usually we don't see partner. You can say partner is fine, but the legal terminology for LLC is called member. They mean partner, okay? So we don't say partner under LLC, we say member. We don't say shareholder. Okay, it's the same thing, okay? But the legal term for the shareholder or partner under the LLC is called members. Member. Okay. So let me give you one inspiration. You can think about that. Okay. I think it is a workable business model. I think it's a doable business model. Okay. You form your LLC and you do investment, any kind of investment which you are specialized. You really know how to do it. And the easy way to do the investment in Silicon Valley is to invest in real estate property. Because in this area, the value is almost going up. Doesn't matter, the bubble burst. Doesn't matter how many times. But in the long run, real estate value always going up in this area. So which means you put the money in, even your bad luck, okay, you put the money in like 2007, but as long as in the right place, even the wrong time, but in the right place, you still survive. Not only survive, you still make a lot of money, right? So you form LLC to invest in the real estate market. Then you can invite, you can do whatsoever. You can invite the foreigner, and they would like to apply for the immigration and come in. And under the certain category, they may be qualified as an investor. So there's a huge market for that. Okay, so for this type of business model, your purpose is not really to run the business. Of course, you are running the business, right? But your real purpose is that you can invite more people, the money from any other country, to put the money into your LLC. Then you can make a profit. I mean legally, all right? So this is another thing you can think about that. Okay. Number 3, corporation. That is a very traditional way to run the business. By the way, if you really want to, you can run one-person corporation. Again, the main purposes is want to protect your personal liability. You want to protect your individual personal liability. Okay. And probably you heard about this before. There are 2 major types corporation. One is called C corporation, the other is called S corporation. And sometimes people say C corporation is regular corporation, and S corporation means small business corporation. You know, I could be right. But the S means really from the text code is S subchapter. It's so complicated, but I don't want to get involved. Just if you say S means small, that's fine, but S really means S subchapter in the text law. Okay. So what's the major difference? Okay. S corporation is the option for the shareholder. They just file the application form to IRS, and they say under the tax code requirement, we are qualified as a S corporation. And the beauty of S corporation is you can waive, you can skip federal level income tax. You know, the bad thing or the disadvantage of a C corporation is you had to pay corporation level income tax one time. Then if you distribute the dividend to your shareholder, then your shareholder must pay each individual tax again. So that is what we call double tax. That is what people say, double tax. It's not good, because $1 earned by the C corporation, this $1 will pay income tax twice. One time at the corporate level, and the other time when each individual shareholder receives the dividend, paid again. Alright? So from the tax standpoint, C corporation is not good to go with. But why people form C corporation? Any reason why? If $1 earned by C corporation pay more tax than S corporation, why people still form C corporation to run the business? Any reason why? Number one, they are not qualified for S corporation. What's qualified? The total shareholder must be under 100%. So if your corporation is a big corporation, it's a big business organization, there's no way to keep only 100, especially if you want to go IPO. right? So, number one reason for people to form C corporation because they are not qualified for S corporation. S corporation, two big limitation is total shareholder must be under 100. And recently, the IRS give a little bit more leeway for the S corporation. They say 100 people really mean 100 families. So you may have more than 100 individuals. So one family could be husband, wife, plus certain member. All right. So not limited to 2 people in one family. It could be the big family, right? But anyhow, you still limit by the number of the shareholder. And another thing is, to be qualified as S corporation, I don't know why. I just cannot figure out why the tax code require must be U.S. citizen and green card holder. I really don't understand why. If you are the totally foreigner, you can form LLC. There's no problem. LLC open up to any person. But I just don't know why the S corporation only open up to U.S. citizen or green card holder. So if people want to run corporation, but the shareholder is foreigner, they must run C corporation. Okay. There must be some reason behind it, but I just cannot figure out. All right. So this is a C corporation, this is a S corporation. And right now we have one topic to discuss. How does people choose between S corporation and LLC? If both of them allowed one person and both of them skip federal level tax, and they are almost very similar. So if this happened to you, maybe you can use this as your final presentation, I don't know. The topic is S corporation versus LLC. What is the major factor to make people choose one way or the other?
Immigration status?
Maybe. Because I just told you, right? S corporation is not open out for the foreigner. So for the foreigner, you have no choice, especially for the one person organization. If one person is the foreigner, you don't have choice, either C corporation or LLC. So you cannot choose. Other than that, maybe there is tax reason. Okay. Let me go one step back, okay? Let me go one step back. For the tax consideration, okay, if the assets, say for example money, $1 bill, transfer from James to Robert, by default, IRS may see this as taxable. Let me repeat it, okay, let me repeat that. From the tax standpoint, any certain assets transfer from party A to party B, by default, this transaction will be deemed as taxable, unless both of you can point out specific tax code say it is exempt. Say for example, for any reason, James just gave to Robert $1 bill. Okay, if IRS officer sitting here and see it, and this officer will say, hey, this transfer by default is taxable, unless either of you can point the tax code to the office to say, well, this transaction is under this tax code, so it is exempt, so tax-free.
A gift, maybe.
Okay? If you cannot point out that, and the IRS say, oh, either of you must pay certain tax. You got the idea, right? So for example, if the money transfer from James to Roberts, and if this transfer, because Robert worked for James, is either salary or wage or any kind of compensation, of course Robert must pay for the income tax, right? In order to audit this kind of transaction, either is W-2 or is 1099, right? Because the payor, you want to issue certain document to Robert, to payee, of course you notify IRS, right? That is the mechanism for IRS to audit this kind of transaction, right? So very typical, maybe this is a certain type of compensation. Or James just say, oh, okay, this is a gift. Even though Steve, you did not do anything for me, I just want to give you a gift. And guess what? If this is a gift, recipient pay nothing. Recipient is totally tax-free if this transfer is gift. However, James is liable for gift tax. Of course, there is a certain amount of money. Under that number, you don't have to pay it. So for example, right now it's 14,000 annual. So if James is so generous, he gives the money to everybody. As long as under $14,000 per year per person, recipient pay nothing. It's income tax free. And also, the payee don't know any tax liability. However, you know this kind of transaction all still subject to tax. Only argument is whether or not you exceed or under the limit. But there are certain situations the transfer by itself is not taxable. For example, James and Steve say this $1 bill is totally a loan. James give to Robert say, well, this is a loan, okay? And within a certain day, he promised to pay me back. And they can prove. As long as this is a loan, recipient is obligated to pay back. Then, even IRS officers sitting here and watch this money change hand, no any tax issue. That's very typical. That's very typical. So, in the future, if you have any problem, you want to save the money, okay? You don't want to trigger any taxable event. You better off ask your CPA or ask, your tax lawyer, or ask me. I will tell you the same action you're going to do. The same action is the same behavior is everybody see James hand $1 bill to Roberts. Everybody see it, right? The same action, everybody see it, same movement, same transaction. However, different explanation, okay? Different scenario, it will cause totally different tax consequence. So how important it is. So the reason why I want to explain this to you is I will tell you another tax code specify the transaction is not taxable. That is here. If James handed to Robert $1 bill, as long as you configure this as investment, as a contribution, the terminology is called contribution. James is investor. Either his title is member under LLC, or his title is shareholder under corporation. As long as this $1 bill contribute to Robert's business as LLC or corporation, and in return, Robert, you will issue James a certificate that this $1 come in as a capital. Then this transaction is non-taxable. And this is important, this is very important. Think about that, I just mentioned family LLC, right? Your family set up one LLC. After that, lawyer transfer the assets, especially cash, checking account, real estate property, from your personal to your LLC. This is transfer. If this is transfer, by default, it may be taxable. Oh, wow, what the heck? This is your own money. You just from left pocket to right pocket. So luckily, there is tax code say it is not taxable, because you transfer from your personal to your corporate, even though it's a different entity. Of course, this is what whole purpose is. However, you transfer the assets from personal to your LLC, then you receive the certificate. So this kind of transaction is not taxable. So make the whole thing workable. If it is taxable, nobody want to do it because it hurt you. The taxable rate is almost about 30%. How can you afford it, right? You transfer $1 to your own company, you pay 30 cents to the IRS. It does not make any sense, right? So the tax code make the whole transaction become totally non-taxable. With this kind of basis, we can do it. Alright, so this is a very, very important concept. Alright, so under certain mechanism, your transfer is not taxable. Okay, always keep this in your mind. Any dollar change hand, by default, it is taxable. So few weeks ago, we read the news, right? Down south in LA, there's one old couple. They just found out the gold coin pot in the backyard. For some reason, they dig out, right? You know what? They will pay tax. Each money you found from nowhere, it becomes an income. I don't know what's the value of the pot, right? People say it's multiple $1 million. Right, multiple $1 million. So you calculate 30%, 1/3 is gone. So the smart people is keep silent, don't talk. Don't talk. If you found a gold pot the next time in the backyard, don't talk, okay? Keep yourself, okay? Don't become famous. My personal philosophy is there's no good at all to become famous. I would rather keep myself as nobody whole life. You know? Don't become famous. Now, only some people know you. That's good enough. Only your close circle knows you about that. And keep yourself as nobody. This is my personal philosophy. Okay? And you enjoy your life. Never become famous. Unless necessary. You know, I don't see any way you won't become famous necessary. So another good example,